Welcome to Ethereal, where we keep it real. This is going to be your August 4th news around Ethereum cryptocurrency. I make these videos in quick, short time format so that you can get the most out of these videos without having to spend too much time watching. That being said, let's jump into the first piece of news today. Although crypto in general and Ethereum has been on a little bit of a quiet trend, so to say, the past few weeks, this is something we announced in this channel on my previous couple videos, where we expected this hype to kind of slow down because of earnings season coming through for the traditional markets and the stock market, and some really important companies and even Mag 7 companies are going to be reporting earnings if they haven't done so already. So that automatically shifts some attention away from the crypto environment. But that being said, we do want to cover some of the important things that happened, and we'll explain why. First piece of news here, Ethereum ETFs end the 20-day inflow streak with 152.3 million outflows on August 1st. US spot Ethereum ETF saw that much in net outflows, ending a record 20-day streak of positive inflows. I mean, that's a really good thing, and even though it did end the streak, it was a really good run while we had that, and it's not necessarily over in the grand scheme of things, but like we said on this channel, there's a few moments where we called for a potential cool off, and we'll get into why that happened. This next piece of news will be in a way directly contradictory, but it says Ethereum rebounds above 3,600 with 257k new addresses. Ethereum bounced back on August 2nd, buoyed by 1.6 million in ETF inflows and one-day spike of 257,000 new on-chain addresses. And the rebound shows that the continued demand and growing user activity, reinforcing Ethereum's strength as a utility network, even mid ETF volatility. And even the first piece of article, that the sort of thing it reflects is that there's a sharp shift between institutional sentiment, introducing short-term downside risk, underlying Ethereum's sensitivity to ETF-based capital flows. That's a lot of words right there. Honestly, the best way to compact that is I think all of this meaning gets lost when you look at the macro effects of what's going on, whether it's financially or geopolitically. That's really what we're seeing here. I mean, these are just headlines to kind of help everybody understand, but in reality, I don't think there's anything necessarily different as far as the crypto environment or the financial sector or anything like that. The two most important things that I think were affecting the price action and so-called record-breaking outflow and whatnot, breaking our streak. Number one, not as important, but definitely important, was the geopolitical aspects of wars across the world. The U.S. Potential signal of getting more involved in certain areas that there already conflict exists, and how the markets perceive that. That was the first big thing that affected everything between the last video and this video. And I think the number one thing that affected everything, including traditional stock market, was the labor report, the downturn in the labor market as far as like job shortages and things like that. The percentages showing a downswing. Those were the two big things that actually caused this outcome. Not necessarily anything specific to Ethereum, but a general broader piece of news that kind of affected everything, trickled down. That being said, I've repeated in the past in this channel, we're not really an Ethereum glazer. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just always be bullish. I'm going to cover things that are potentially risky or even cause for bearish signals potentially, and this is definitely one of them. The fact that if geopolitical tensions are going to rise, and if other financial sectors or aspects of the economy are showing bearish signals or just negative returns, that's definitely going to have a huge impact on risk on assets like stocks, especially crypto. Crypto is the first thing that's going to see outflows every time there's some sort of uncertainty announced, and this was one of them. The last thing I'll leave you off with as far as news goes in this video is that the White House has been repeatedly announcing these supercharged crypto plan, and as far as like what sort of blueprints they're releasing and their task forces and whatnot. So there's a lot of, and this was on July 31st, right? So there's a lot of positive sentiment happening behind the scenes and even in the news, but that's being drowned out by some of the grander things going on, like I mentioned. So if you're a believer and if you're in this for the long term, I don't think any of this should affect you. If you're a swing trader, there's definitely some opportunities for you in the past few days and even 2 weeks for you to make some really gnarly trades. But that being said, let's finish off this video as we always do with some quick technical analysis. As you can see on the screen here, Ethereum has had a pretty strong rebound since its low at 3,300 back on the 2nd of August. And this isn't anything impressive or exciting, but it's just showing more sentiment as far as like the channel that we're trading in and the sort of sideways action that this channel called. As far as what we announced, if you look at the daily candles here, we did a nice little cool off like we anticipated would happen, and this is actually very healthy. We bounced off this trend line coming down all the way from 2021 highs, and we're going to come back and test this, whether that's this week, next week, or when the earnings season ends in the stock market. So if you're really, again, in this for the long term, I think that the most exciting parts of Ethereum are still ahead of us. Potentially halfway through August or even early September is when we should really start getting potentially more news and things like that. As soon as the Senate starts actually voting on and finishing their drafting on the other bills that were passed to them from the House, that will also be another piece of catalyst. So all I can say is hang in there, make sure you're keeping your eyes out, tune into this channel so I can bring you the news as soon as I see them. But for the past week and two, as we anticipated, the news have kind of chilled out as far as Ethereum goes specifically, but broadly for the crypto market as well, like we mentioned. For now, I'm expecting some more sideways action. It'd be not too surprising to see a lower low here, and kind of more sideways action, maybe even coming down and testing this 3069, which would be a little extreme. I think these 13-day EMAs and 48-day EMAs have really helped us support, and I believe that will continue to prove so while moving forward. But this channel of 41 or just 4,000 or even our previous 3950 is really the level to look out for. If we come up and test this level, that's really going to show us what the next few weeks should play like. If we break through it immediately, I'm really expecting some exciting movement because it'll be some price discovery mode that Ethereum hasn't seen for a while. Although our all-time high is all the way at 4,800, we haven't really been above 4,000 since the election hype drive and then after it crashed down early in 2025. But if we do come up and test this again and we drop back down and get rejected, I don't see us going too far lower. I think this 3250 and 3000 level are going to continue to act as really strong support while we wait to see what happens. But as far as that goes, that's really the most important and high level things I can cover on Ethereum today. Make sure again you tune into the channel so I cover the most important things in fast format videos like this one whenever it comes out. Other than that, I appreciate your time tuning in. Ethereal, keep it real.